about the bigger picture. Let's talk about how we be ballin', playing with the Wizards. Let's talk about the Nats and how they always got good pitchers. Let's talk about the Cats, how rest can turn them boys to winners. Injuries and updates, oh yeah. To the opponent, we stand toe to toe, yeah. To the top, this podcast gonna go, yeah. I think it's something you should know, yeah.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to episode 71 of Ref the District. I'm going to put a question mark on that. I'm fairly certain it's 71. My count, I've lost fingers and toes, so it's past my counting ability. I'm Nathan Perry. Joining me today, yes, do not adjust your eyes. He is here in person. It's the Stoner.
What's up? I forgot what I'm supposed to do when you introduced me. Like, I think for a while I was doing this, but like everybody does that. So I forgot what it is like my thing. Do you remember?
For our audio listeners, he's saluting. I'm not looking at you. Oh, that's right. You're doing the nose thing. He does a little nose touch. Of course, we stream live every Wednesday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 7:30. Then we put it out on your favorite audio platform, so you can catch us even on the go. Please go ahead and make sure you get out there to Apple, Google, Amazon, wherever it is that you listen to. Spotify, we're there. Subscribe to our channels. Make sure that you're catching them there as well. We appreciate the support. Of course, we are sponsored by Pacers Running for Every Run. More on them coming up. And you'll notice Trev is not with us. He's still working some things on the business end. Little birdie tells me we might have some good news coming down the pipe, hopefully rather soon. Hopefully we get all three of us back in the studio together. Got a good show for you, though, even though it's just the Stoner and I, because you are going to be joining us there in the comments, and Dougford is already there. Hail to the Commanders from the artist formerly known as Douglas. Thanks for joining us, Douglas. We got a great show for everyone. We're going to be doing a Commanders grab bag. Stoner's been, island hopping for the last 3 weeks. So he's been out of it. So he wants to he has a few questions he wants to pick our brains on, and he'll do that in the cool down. For the game, you might see my complexion's a little darker than it normally is. I got a lot of sun out there in Ashburn as I was at OTAs. Trev was as well. We'll be sure we get his thoughts when he jumps back in with us, hopefully next week. And that'll be for the game as some OTA talk. And then, you know what? We're going to warm up. I've mentioned this already. Stoner, you're back, man. It's been a long time, almost a full month since you've been on the channel with us, at least in person. There was a couple times that you were, there in the comment section and kind of interacting with our people. So
I tried.
We want to know, how was your vacation? First, shout out to Tanner and Carlton also jumping in here with us. How was vacation?
Well, it's hard to explain it too much because I really don't know what day it is and what time it is right now because my body clock is all messed up. Yesterday, I was great. I was feeling awesome. I got good sleep. I woke up energized and everything, and I thought, okay, well, that was a quick turn on the body clock check. But today, oh my goodness, I couldn't sleep. I slept like 3 hours. And today I was dragging my butt all day. So I'm still trying to figure out what day it is. I can't believe it's Wednesday. It is Wednesday, right? Yeah.
It is Wednesday. That's why we're streaming live. I like how Stoner right now is trying to make us feel like sorry for him.
Yes,
as he's about to tell us about all the beautiful places that he went to, right? Like, come on, man.
I definitely did that.
This is what you get for doing that.
I definitely did that, but it takes a toll on you, man. I mean, in the 19 days that I was gone, I had 12 flights. Okay, so I had 4 getting out there. I went to the Philippines. I had 4 while I was there, while we were island hopping, and then 4 coming back. I mean, that's just too much flying because some of those flights are 10, 11, 12 hours. A lot of them are 4 hours, and it just took a toll on me. But while I was there, we had an awesome time. Like I said, island hopping. We went to 3 different islands while we were there. My wife and I did. It was our 25th anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. So we had a blast doing that, jumping all over the place. And one of the places that we stayed, during our anniversary is you opened up the doors and you had this beautiful pool. The bar was to the left, and then you had the Pacific Ocean, or maybe it was the Philippine Sea, whatever it was.
Body of water, large body of water.
Yeah. And coconut trees and everything. No other like rooms or anything. We were the one that was closest to the water. And it was amazing to wake up to that and to be in that atmosphere for a little over a week that we did that. We went island hopping. It was awesome and an incredible time. But then I had to come home. Right? And here's the kicker.
Sometime.
Yeah, here's the kicker. I brought a cat home with me. I don't know if I told you about this before.
You did tell me you brought the cat back.
So I brought one of the cats, and it's a whole long story with my wife over there taking care of family, and we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so we're starting to execute our exit strategy, right? And so she's got some cats, and she wants to bring some back. So I had to bring a cat back, and I brought it on the plane with me. A cat who had never left the house where he lived for 3 years is all of a sudden in a carrier on airplanes. And here's how it started. And I'll make this real quick because we got to talk Commanders. That's the most important thing. When we were on our way it's called a Grab, which is the Philippines version of Uber. We were in a ride share vehicle, whatever. Mm-hmm. And we're in this Grab, and we've got this cat in this soft case, not happy being in there. And we're heading there, and the cat poops inside of the carrier. So we get to the airport, and we have to go out on the sidewalk in 105-degree heat. It's never not 105 degrees there. And we're cleaning up this cat. We can't go inside because only ticketed passengers can go inside. So my wife can't go inside. And it's all over inside. And it's all over the cat. And I'm thinking, this is going to be the worst 48 hours of my life, having to go through all this. But we did get everything cleaned up pretty nicely, sweating my balls off on the sidewalk there. And remember, I'm on my way to fly all these places. You don't want to go into that all sweaty and everything. The cat was not happy most of the time, but I figured out ways to calm it during the flights, and look, we made it. That's the bottom line.
We are happy.
Can you imagine a 12-hour flight with a cat who doesn't want to be there? 12 hours? 12 hours, Nathan.
I imagine you were the passenger every other passenger was upset with.
Well, he wasn't necessarily loud, although he did meow. But, inside an airplane, it is a little bit louder, and most everybody has headphones on.
Yeah, go ahead and try to justify it. Try to talk yourself into that you weren't the nightmare passenger for everybody else.
But I wasn't, because I thought about bringing, how parents with kids who are flying, they bring like these little goodie bags or something they give to like the passengers around them to ahead of time to say, hey, I'm sorry, this might be rough.
Sorry.
I'm just letting you know. I was thinking about doing that, but I ended up not doing that. But I did end up staying over in LA.
I think I would just ask to have my seat moved. If it's going to be that bad, just find me another seat.
Well, I don't know if you've been on any flights lately. There are no empty seats on flights right now.
Yeah, they're back to being full. It's been a few years since I've been on a commercial airliner. Coming back from Italy, and it was empty because it was in the heart of COVID, and then every other flight has been a military. A gray tail, as we call them. Hey, Grayson, we're going to get to that question in the cool down. We definitely want to talk about what's going to happen now that we've hit June 1st.
Yep.
Technically, it's a post June 1st cut. So money will be rolling in starting tomorrow. It's going to be on the grab bag list that Stoner has. We were just talking to Stoner about his travels. He was in paradise with his wife celebrating 25 years. Again, congratulations to you and Adelina. And why don't we hit this game and we can talk some OTAs. Sounds good. All right, stick with us, and we're going to be talking OTAs here on Ref the District. The game is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 6 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running. Shout out to Pacers Running there. I wore the shoes that they hooked me up with, right? I had to, because there was a lot of walking there at OTAs, moving around, and I could not have done that without those comfortable pairs of shoes. Check them out, Pacers Running, for every footwear need, not just for every run, right? I want to tell you that they put you in some comfortable shoes, even for when you're walking around, watching your favorite football team, which is what I got to do with Trev and a whole bunch of other content creators. So we got this email probably, 3 weeks ago?
Sure.
Sometime around there, saying, hey, would you guys be willing to come to OTAs? Of course, you weren't able to because you were just getting back. Trev and I were like, yeah, we got to do it. EP, shout out to EP for pushing me out the door, making sure that I went there. Because originally I was kind of wishy-washy on whether or not I was going to take a day off of work. And she's like, no, you have to. So shout out to EP on that front. And we kind of kept quiet because we were like, we didn't necessarily want it. I wanted to, for me personally, I wanted to wait until we got some more details of what they're going to allow to do. And then see if other content creators wanted to be there. Cause we didn't want to, boast or even talk about something that we didn't really know what to expect. Lots of great content creators there. Josh, thanks for jumping in here. Josh Kirby was there as well. Yeah, I wish we could have dragged our man Stoner out there. Apparently he was lively yesterday, so he would have been fine yesterday. Maybe not so. Maybe not so much today.
So who all was out there? Let me ask you some of the content creators that were out there. Give a shout out to
so you had Declassified that was out there. You had the Burgundy Zone. You had Josh. You had Parker from Sidelines. Jalen, Rio. You had Steve from the Command This. He was with us just a couple of weeks ago on the channel. I think maybe even last week on the channel. Let's see.
Natty out there?
Natty was out there. Yep. So good shout out to DMV Sports Zone with some of his co-hosts as well. Yeah, we should have done a better job taking pictures with those guys. They did a pretty good job taking pictures with us. Trev and I might have overdone ourselves, like we were still in our younger age before the night before. So we were intent on watching what we could and getting that stuff, but maybe not necessarily all there. Jamal, good shout out to that. Trapper Dive. Shout out to lots of content creators out there. We all kind of had the same thing, and I'm glad you brought up Josh, that you brought up Jamal there, because he had a tweet today that I very much agree with. And Stoner, you telling me that you don't agree. So here's the situation. So we got the email. They know we're content creators. They invited us out as content creators. The team is they, right? So we, along with some of the other content creators, Josh Taylor, by the way, another one that was out there, we had the idea that we would be creating content while we're there. Sure. Now they were upfront, that we wouldn't have access to the players or Ron Rivera's press conference. So they were upfront with that, but we figured, at least there'd still be something for us to do or talk about while we're out there. Well, we get the email the night before saying, or not the night before, about the day before, that we're not allowed to video record anything. We're not allowed to photograph anything. Like the players may be available for autographs and photos afterwards, which I did get some. I did not get a Wentz selfie. He kind of skipped me over. And I will blame Parker for the skip over, as Parker told him. Was he
calling him?
No, Parker was in front of me. Parker was he kind of confused Carson Wentz when so Parker said something to the effect of, I hope you prove me wrong. And so like Wentz like walks a little bit forward, and then he's just like, I'm not sure how to take that.
Yeah, right. So obviously he's not a Wentz guy.
No, Parker's not a Wentz guy. So, but yeah, there was like a 15-minute period at the front that we were able to do some photography, but the field was 25 yards or more away. They were just doing position drills. We got to see the tight ends up close, and we got to see the running backs up close. So that was good. But then like all the action was happening on a whole football field away. So
sure.
Here's the thing is we were still trying to do some content, but some people were asked to delete their content because we were even during it asked to not even live tweet.
Right. So don't even send out a message saying, hey, I'm here, and Carson Wentz just do a great pass.
Yeah.
For example.
So there was a lot of restrictions on it. Meta, a lot of people got selfies. They were a lot better about that. I'm not really good about I don't need honest to goodness, I just don't need a picture with another dude. I don't care.
Right. That makes sense.
But so there wasn't much that we can do while we're out there, and that was disappointing. And here today, the press is back out there for OTAs, and they're tweeting pretty much the same stuff. A lot of our content creators were
trying
tweeting,
to do. Yeah.
We're trying to do, and then asked to delete it. And I know some people were like, no, they weren't. No one was asking anybody to delete. No, I watched one of the team representatives walk up to, I believe it's Josh Taylor, and ask him like, hey, could you take that down? Like there was an ask, it was a polite ask. And of course we want to be we don't want to, upset the team. They invited us out here. So we were okay acquiescing, but Jamal brings up the point.
You just proved, or you just argued for the other side. Exactly.
I'm saying we're going to follow the rules. My point is mine with Jamal. I'm with Jamal on this. Is this like, it doesn't make sense that you ask the content creators come out and then not create content. And then you have the reporters, which, search the shooter is one of them who like, they're able to do that. And it was so now maybe that's on us. We have some aspirations, for doing bigger things and getting, field access and media access and stuff like that. That's not what this is. Like this was, they invited content creators out to be a part of a fan event, which is great. And I'm very thankful. Right. Thank you to the Commanders and the team. We appreciate it. Please continue doing so. We just have to manage our expectations. And then in turn, I think manage the expectations of our listeners and our viewers. Right. Because, I think a lot of them were like, hey, we're going to go to OTAs, which is one of the reasons, Stoner, why I kept quiet about going. Because I was like, I don't want to sit there and tell them we're going to do something and then we're not able to do it. And this was one of those times where I wish that I could have, managed expectations a little bit more, because I can tell you what I saw now. Right. I'm pretty sure the cat's out of the bag for a lot of that stuff. But
okay,
we'll see.
All right, so here's a couple of things, right? So you said this, you referenced this at least, but a while back when they invited us,
Steve, you did a good job, by the way. Thanks.
Yeah, you did an awesome job. I watched it. It was fantastic. They invited us, and then we tweeted along with many other people, said it's awesome that the Commanders are inviting us out to OTAs. This is a great step. This is something that we're glad they're doing, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Then we get there and we complain because we don't get to do more, that we don't get to, show certain plays that the team is trying to implement in this billion-dollar business where people are trying to not lose their $7 million a year jobs. Okay. So then today you have all here's a key word you left out when you were talking about the reporters, the credentialed reporters.
No.
The folks that have earned the right to be there by not burning the organization. You, and I'm using you, Nathan, as a representative of all content creators / fans / hog farmers, whomever that was out there. And we saw all those folks out there. And I say, you have not earned that credential and that trust of the team that you won't burn them. And that's why they have credentials. That's why they have the access that they have, because they have earned that right to know what to put out there and what not to put out there. We're just a bunch of donks that have been doing this for a couple of years, right? And again, I'm using us as a representative of all content creators. We haven't earned that right yet. And we could go out there and do some things that are just not cool. At some point, we hope to get there, but we're not there yet. And we shouldn't expect that the team is going to just allow us to run around and put together content, run out in the middle of the field on a play. I'm exaggerating, of course, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. And so that's why I understand and agree with what the team was doing. Says, shut it down, no media, no content. Enjoy being here and watching what you're watching, and let the credentialed media do their job for you. So that's why I'm on the side of the team in this case.
Nothing you said is really against what I've already said, right? Like you even accused me of fighting for the team side here. The only thing I'm asking is managing expectations, right? That's the big thing. I had no problem that when we got the email the day prior that they were saying no photography, no video. I kind of questioned what we were going to do content wise.
Sure.
But when we got out there and they're like, hey, there's only this 15 minutes of period, which by the way, all they're doing is, running, over, foam pads, the running backs were. So that's that's the 15 minutes you get to kind of record or take pictures. Like, good. Okay, great. And then when they're like, shut it down, I shut it down. I put my phone away. I wasn't gonna bother with the phone because, I'm there to watch them. I'm there to interact with the other fans, the other content creators. So I had no problem following instructions.
Right.
And I have no problem that, like you said, the credential media gets to do more. You're right. We're not there. And I'm not one of the, I know there's some content creators that are kind of anti-media because they do sometimes, take that negative approach. I'm not that. I think that our media does a good job. Sometimes maybe they don't necessarily, do things the way that we like it, but hey, that's just them. That's their cup of tea, right? I just wanted to manage those expectations going in, so that way we can also manage expectations again for our viewers.
Okay. So, did anybody from the Commanders, when you got the invite, did they say, hey, we want you to come out and to be able to live stream or create content or get interviews? They never gave you that expectation, did they? Didn't they just say, hey, we're inviting you out?
Gonna make me pull it up.
We're inviting you out to OTAs. And that was pretty much it. Here's the date. You're going to have breakfast. You're going to watch a couple hours of practice, and then you're going to take your butt home and get away from us for a while. I mean, that alone, just to be on that email list to begin with, is a pretty big honor, because there are literally hundreds of thousands of people who would have loved to have gotten that email. And they didn't. And we did because we have done work with the team. And again, I say we as a representative of all the content creators, because we've done work with the team.
Brian and Sarah, we're going to get to football. We're not.
Yeah. Sorry. So didn't they manage expectations up front?
They did, actually. You're right. This is all on me. It says right here in the email. Additionally, this ticket does not serve as a credential to cover practice as a media representative. Okay, end story. We got it. It's my bad.
And Jamal's bad. I'm calling out Jamal too, because
you're right. You're right. Again, fair enough. Expectations are properly set. Let's move on to football so we can make Brian and Sarah happy. It's not about whether or not I'm happy. We'll make sure Brian and Sarah are happy here. Let's talk football. What questions do you have for me regarding OTAs. What do you want to know? Get in the chat there, ask your questions.
Let me ask a couple that guys, when we put this on our community tab and we asked what people wanted us to look out for. And so we have a couple that I'm going to ask you about because I wasn't there, obviously. So Maurice Davis, he wanted to know how Carson looked in the chemistry with his receivers that he's never played with before. None of them has he ever played on a football field with before. How did his chemistry look?
I mean, it's really hard to gauge given the distance and given that, this is no pads type practice that we're talking about. I will say that there are certain receivers that he seemed to be working really well with, which was exciting. Which
ones were they that you thought?
I think honestly, I think people are I hope this ends up being the case. We could just be Ashburned. A lot of people were high on Dyami Brown after some practice without pads last year. But I do think all the wide receivers get a bump with Carson Wentz. But I believe you and everybody else who was calling for Olave will not even remember who Olave is because Dotson he's
the real deal.
He looks good. I know he's a smaller wide receiver. It's without pads, and you can kind of, see, you can talk all the trash you want. I don't care. I'm going to be Ashburned right now because he looked good. He was fast. He was getting, you can just see the movement. Looks to me like we got ourselves a solid first round wide receiver.
All right. So, there was somebody, sorry, I might've missed that. All right. Here's another one, from Mike Lowry. He asked which vets were skipping OTAs this particular week.
I'm trying to think. I think Leno might have not have been there, but I think that was family related.
Yeah, because he was there today.
He's there today. Yeah, it was just, I would say we saw most of the vets that you'd want to see out there. I can't think of anyone that I remembered missing in particular.
Other than the obvious.
Other than Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's the big one, still going under the contract thing. I saw a question about his contract. We'll get to that in the grab bag.
All right. So here's another one. Hawk TV asking about Chase Young. Did he flash? Did he add any pass rush moves?
He was there. He's not working with the team. Okay. No, he wasn't. He's not out there with the rest of the team. He was working with some trainers, but it was good to see. I do think that they deliberately brought him out to the outside field with the trainers to kind of let us kind of get that excitement, let us get that hype back up. But he was there. It was good to see him out there. I know he got a lot of flack for not being there before.
Yeah, so absolutely.
The fact that he's there and he's rehabbing, and in fact, he was getting some hate because he was in Colorado, right? And rehabbing. No, he was back, and he's, he still looks just every bit of impressive body wise that he did last year. So it was good to see Chase Young out there.
All right. Awesome. So I think Chase is going to be, it's my opinion that I'm earmarking him for about week 8. Okay. He's going to miss about half the year, not quite half the year. It's a home game against Green Bay. I have no inside info, or I'm not a doctor, all that good stuff, but I don't think he's going to be there for week 1. He had a reconstruction of his knee. He did not have a fixed ACL or whatever. They had to reconstruct his knee. So that's a little bit longer timeline. So I don't think he's going to be ready for week 1. That's just me.
Just whenever he comes back, I want him to be healthy, and I want him to attack, right? That's it.
And they're going to be very careful with him. The team is going to be very careful with him. They're not going to rush Chase Young back. They're going to wait till he's going to be out there in practice doing some crazy stuff in practice, and then he's not going to play that week. And you're going to be like, what is going on here? They're going to be careful. He is a prized, valued player that they want around for many years. It's not just about this year. So manage expectations. That might be the title of this show today. All right. So Ben Willard, our buddy Ben, he asked about if you noticed any interaction between the 3/4 quarterbacks, whoever that tall donk is, that 6'8" guy.
Cole Kelly. Kelly is pretty dang on tall.
Yeah. Was there any interaction that you noticed between Carson and Taylor and Sam Howell?
I mean, they were laughing and joking. I think they were pretty businesslike when they were out there, though. So, they didn't walk down at the same time. If you're wondering that, if you want to read into that when it came to leaving the field, but they were all smiles. There didn't seem to be any negativity. I have a lot more to say about the quarterbacks that we can get to in a little bit. But it was I don't think there was any animosity there, and I think that it was very clear. I'll say this, at least right now, it's very clear who the number one QB is.
Oh, sure.
Like there's no question. This is not a camp battle, and that was clear too. Like just from the interactions and stuff.
We keep coming back to that. Manage those expectations. Carson is the clear cut. I mean, you're giving him $28 million or whatever. He better be the clear cut number one. All right, let's get to some of these that are in the chat. All right, so Dominique Greer is asking, how did the secondary look during team drills?
So this is another one of those difficult things where they kind of put us, right? So all the real action was happening
way out there,
a whole like football field away.
Yeah.
And then there's a line of all the players kind of blocking. So you didn't really get to see too much of the action as it's playing when they were doing the 11 on 11 or 9 on 9 drills. Now, that being said, from what I understand, the secondary was looking pretty darn good. And when there was quite a few times where the defense was getting excited because they were making plays on the ball. So regardless of who was back there at QB, they were doing some good stuff. Now there was at least one play that I saw that they got burnt on, but I don't know who that was necessarily the secondary or might have been the linebackers that got kind of abused there. So
is it possible, to piggyback off that, is it possible for the receivers to look good? Because you mentioned Dotson has looked good. Even Dyami Brown. Did you mention that he looked good this year? I know you mentioned last year.
Curtis Samuel looks healthy. He does look healthy.
Is it possible for them to look good and also for the defensive backs to also look good?
I was talking with LE from Declassified about this. Like, people are going to get on Wentz when like he throws an interception, here in practice, as far as like, you've even seen some of the media having said that, he threw a pick to Corn Elder. Don't you want your defense to make plays? Like, as much as you don't want your offense to make mistakes,
right? This
is a QB that's learning the system. He's learning his wide receivers, and the timing and everything like that. Don't you want your defense though to flash? I think absolutely you can have both of them perform well and it not be too scary. And if anything, I want those mistakes to happen now at OTAs or in training camp, and for that defense to be that hungry going into the season and the offense to have learned what's working, what's not.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Tanner Austin here. He says, "Did you see much from Jamin Davis?" JP reported he didn't play much. JP Finley, I'm assuming, beat reporter and 106.7 The Fan host. I tweeted this from our account a couple of days ago asking if he was still on the team because I haven't heard anything.
Been pretty quiet.
And people responded by putting their selfies. I think Josh Kirby did that. He said, "Hey, looking good," or whatever. But I mean, there's no buzz about him in camp. There's zero buzz. Like Cole Holcomb is getting more buzz than Jamin Davis, your prize number one pick from last year.
Yeah, I honestly, it wasn't until he was walking down the thing did I even know that he was there. That's not to say that he didn't necessarily do anything, worthwhile, but I did not see him in action enough yesterday to really say that he flashed. But that's not to say he isn't having a good camp or anything like that. Just from our tiny window, didn't get an opportunity.
And let's not forget also that these are organized team activities. This is not practice. This is not all out hitting and all out plays and all that. This is just, putting in some things, trying some things, just staying fresh, all of that. So there is a big difference between what's happening now and what's going to be happening in August, whenever
it's end of July.
Right. All right.
Rumor has it could be back in Ashburn.
Oh yeah, we don't even know where training camp is yet.
Nope, it's not been announced.
That's crazy. All right, let's get to another question here. Here you go. From our guy Metaphor. Was Howell super tiny? Was he smaller than Taylor?
Yeah, so it's really hard for me to gauge this. I'm 6'3", 6'4". So both of them are really small. I don't know that he's smaller. I will say he's got a good arm. That was on show quite a bit during practice. As you can see, you can really see that he can throw the ball. So that was pretty exciting to see.
I mean, is Taylor just getting emasculated out there with his noodle arm?
I would say yes. I absolutely would say yes. Like you can, again, we're a football field away, and you can tell when the ball's up in the air who threw.
Yeah.
When it was wobbly and it looked like it fell short, you're like, that has to be Taylor, and you look and you're sure it was number 4 who was throwing it. So it's just kind of and then there's some times where it's just a big pass play and you're like, oh, who threw that? And you're thinking it's going to be Carson Wentz, and it was Sam Howell. And then sometimes you're like, wait, hold on, and it was Carson Wentz, and it was just there was, not to say,
but it was never Taylor.
No, I'm not saying it was never Taylor. I'm just saying that there was a noticeable difference in the passing when Taylor was out there, and probably less exciting plays were happening there. So
okay, gotcha.
There's at least one broken play that I saw where he kind of ran it out, or there was, actually, I'll mention 2 plays. There was one that was, I guess, just a broken play where he ended up just kind of scooting to the sideline and not throwing the ball away. And then there was another one where it looked like he might have gotten knocked down, and he was practically butt on the ground and got up and tried to okay, no, I'm gonna still throw it. It was just what is going on? What's happening here?
I remember last year in actual training camp down in Richmond when we were watching, and they just have those quarterback drills. The receivers would do 7-yard outs or whatever, and they do them at the exact same time, one on the right, one on the left. And it was noticeable to me, and I say this all the time, I'm just a dumb fan. It was noticeable to me the difference in the ball getting to the receiver between Fitzpatrick and Heineke. They were both very accurate. It's fraction, but in the NFL, that fraction makes all the difference, and we saw it all last year. Taylor's got the moxie. That's your word. He's got the intelligence. He understands this offense, but he just doesn't have the arm to compete at a high level week in and week out, and we saw that all last year.
I'm gonna defend the Heineke hive here just for a little bit, and Heineke. I think that it's not that he doesn't have the arm to compete week in and week out, because I do think some of that other stuff, the moxie and the intelligence, is going to help him. At least, I mean, come on, this guy won 7 games against a very difficult schedule.
That's fair.
So I think that he has limitations, and I think we're fair to call out those limitations, like his arm strength not being, impressive, especially to some of these other QBs. But I think you can win games with him. I think you absolutely could. We proved it last year, and I think that he's proven enough to be, a backup in this league for a long time because of those other traits that he has.
I agree with that. I mean, he's going to make $20 million probably in the next 7, 8, 9 years. I mean, he's not young, but he's not old either. And absolutely, he's going to be around for quite a while. Not on this team, but he'll be in the league.
I would say this is going to be a premature call here. Okay, this is way too early to call this. He absolutely is not with this team next year because Sam Howell, they're going to run 2 quarterbacks next year. Carson Wentz and Sam Howell.
You hope Carson Wentz will be here.
I hope. Yeah. If Carson Wentz is still here next year, it meant that he had a good season for us. Sam Howell did look very impressive. So that was kind of what we got here was how tiny. Yeah. He was kind of small. on the smaller end, obviously, but he's definitely got a live arm. I didn't see that not eating steak being a problem. He looked like a pretty, stocky guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a funny bit about Sam Howell. All right. So Grayson Roberts, let's talk about the tight end position.
Yeah, we got the two back to back here. Grayson with thoughts on AGG making the position change, and Hawks with any of the tight ends additions flash.
Yeah, and that's before you get to the guys who were out there. Again, Logan Thomas with the ACL on the pup on the sideline working out.
We did get to see him.
Yeah, probably again he won't be out there until I'm saying like a week 4 or 5 for him. His knee injury was, I think it was after Chase, but he did not have a reconstruction. He just had a repair of his ACL. So it wasn't quite as bad. So I think it's going to be about week 4 or 5 for him. So talk about AGG with the tight end group, Cole Turner, Sammis Reyes. What did you see with the tight end guys out there?
So Sammis Reyes was also on the sideline. He was riding the bike for a long time. So
for an undisclosed injury, right? We don't know.
Yes, not sure what's going on there, but he seemed in good spirits when we shouted out to him. But yeah, he was riding the bike, so not a whole lot to see from Sammis Reyes. Cole Turner, 5th round pick. The dude is large.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is he? Is he like 6'5"?
I think he's like supposed to 6'7", maybe.
Oh, is he that big?
Isn't Bates 6'5"? Bates might be a little bit smaller than 6'5".
Man, 6'4", 6'5". Sure.
Yeah. Because he towered over all the other tight ends. Wow. There was a massive difference in size between him and the other tight end. So, maybe not nearly as movable. Bates looked good again. I really liked seeing from him. The AGG.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of comments on how he's bulking up, and I think even Logan Paulson was just like he's the most like jacked out of them. He looks so tiny compared to Bates and Cole Turner and Mari for one of the undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it. I just don't think that Grayson, to answer your question here, I don't think he makes the team. I think that he's just on the outside looking in. I think that it's potential that he gets picked up somewhere else, but I think that this tight end group just got super crowded all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And if they're going to keep somebody on the practice squad, they're going to keep somebody like Sammis Reyes or, one of these other undrafted free agents. They're not going to keep, AGG, who's still trying to learn that, unless they value the fact that he can run wide receiver routes. But if I just don't see that happening, because you're also having him bulk up. He was already a step slower than he needed to be as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And now you're bulking him up, and I just don't see it. I do wish him the best. I just think that he's going to be on the outside looking in. He didn't seem to really flash when they were doing the drills. A lot of these tight ends were struggling when they were doing just like the simple pass drills. But I think that's more of a timing issue. A lot of the balls were ending up high. So they, Roger, I have to say Sammis Reyes is probably on the outs as well. So to answer metaphor, making any progress, if he's out on the bike right now, I struggle to see. I struggle to see it. Nope. Shout out to Toothpick here, First String Podcast. Sammis is out. Yes, I said it. And the room has improved, and you can't
keep them all. Probably
can't keep them all.
Yeah, but let me contradict that here just for a second. Just thinking off the top of my head here, in that Logan's not going to be ready for week 1. We're pretty sure of that. So Bates is your number 1. Okay. Cole Turner is your number 2. Then you've got Sammis Reyes and AGG basically, and some guy that you're hoping nobody wanted to draft is going to step up into that spot. I think AGG has a good chance to make the team. Whether or not he's a contributor or what, maybe he's the first guy cut when Logan is back on the roster, that's another story. But I think he has a really good shot. And I think it's a testament to AGG's competitiveness and his willingness to say, okay, I'm not making it as a wide receiver. I was cut a couple of times last year, and 31 other teams didn't want me. So let me try something different, where most guys would just go home and say, well, I've got, a couple $1,000,000 from being a draft pick, and I'll do something else, or I'll go to the XFL or whatever. He said, no, I'm going to do something and try and make this team. So I think that speaks well for him as a player and as a competitor. And so I think they're going to do everything they can to help him make this roster this year. So I'm going to say he sticks. Maybe not for the whole year, but at least on the initial.
But at least until Logan Thomas. That one's going to be interesting. I said that he probably wouldn't even make the practice squad because they're going to keep some of these other guys. But you're right. Logan Thomas is going to be out for a bit, and maybe he sneaks in somewhere there. I just don't think if you're looking for a third tight end on your roster, you're probably looking for somebody who's going to be there to block, kind of like what Sammis Reyes was doing last year. Play some special teams, which AGG can do.
Yeah, he can do that
but
too.
You want him to be able to be in there on those big sets, so that way you have, Bates or Turner, who's going to be your more dynamic receiving threat. So, but I am excited to see some size when we get down to the red zone, because Cole Turner, I'm telling you, the man, again, I'm just about 6'4" on a good day.
Yeah.
He makes me look small.
Oh, really?
Makes me look small.
All right. I got a couple more here before we get to the obvious questions. What was, if anything, what was Payne doing? Did you see Payne? Was he out there on regular drills?
He was out there. He was doing his thing. I'm not sure. We didn't get to see a whole lot of the D line working. The tight ends, running backs were out by us. They did a couple of pass drills. So we got to see some of the quarterbacks when they're passing to the tight ends, but we didn't really get to see some of the defensive side of the front, the line. Okay. And, we got Grayson asking about, the latest undrafted free agent that they signed to a 3-year contract out of Virginia State. Didn't really get to see that in action. And like I said, when they were doing the 9-on-9 or 11-on-11 plays, that was all on the far end.
Okay.
So,
all right, here's a question I have. And by the way, I think Daron Payne gets a bad rap. I think he's a darn good football player, and this team really needs him this year. So I don't want to see him get cut. I don't want to see him get traded. I don't want him to leave as a free agent. I'd like to see him get re-signed. That's just me. I think he gets a bad rap. So I was going to ask about something else about linebacker defense. The first rounder, no, the second rounder, the defensive lineman. I can't even say his name.
Mathis.
Mathis is his last name.
Fedarian Mathis.
Fedarian. Yeah, sorry, yeah. I can't say Fedarian.
Again,
so you didn't get to see him.
I really can't. I don't want to project, right? I didn't get to see a lot of that. So I don't want to, say anything that might be, maybe somebody else can refute me. One of our other guys who happened to be there in the chat, but I didn't get to see it. One, I could tell from where we were, it seemed like the D line was, at least, making those plays happen quicker. Okay. I think that they were kind of contributing to some of the hooting and hollering that we were hearing, but I can't, I can't say for certain who it was or what was going on for there. P4, will training camp be open to the public? They haven't announced it yet.
We don't even know where it is.
If I had to be a betting man, I would say that it's actually going to be in Ashburn. Whether or not that means it's going to be open, I don't know. I tell you this, I don't even know where they would park people or put people. Like,
really?
When it was parking out there, when it was in Richmond, like they had the whole kind of complex and a thing that you can work with,
parking garage and everything.
If it's in Ashburn, there wasn't really that. So they had probably close to 50 fans out there for this event that we were attending. And we pretty much used up the entire little parking lot that they had. So I can't imagine inviting thousands of fans out there to Ashburn. So it'll be interesting how that's handled, though.
All right. So, and then let's talk about the running back group, as Hawk was asking about Brian Robinson. But I'm a little bit more interested. I think we know who Brian Robinson is. We know he's a Peyton Barber look-alike clone or whatever.
I'm told that he's a lot more exciting than that. That's what I'm told.
Okay.
A lot of people seem pretty high on Brian Robinson. Yeah. I've said it as my least favorite pick, but I will say this: he is much larger than the other running backs. Like he is a big dude. I will say, like, for everything that people are telling me about him, where people, saying that, no, he's much quicker than you think and all this, he looked a little slow to me. Now this is just practice and pads, sure. Once he puts on, the full kit, might be some monster. And some people were telling me, even yesterday, because I mentioned them, I was like, does he look a little slow to you? He doesn't seem to move through those drills as fast as the other running backs. They said that he's somebody who takes a while to pick up speed. So he's just like, when you get him to the second level, that's where he's going to really get some damage, which to me is a little interesting. Cause if you're telling me he's a short yardage back, don't I need that speed within the first 10 yards? I need him to be able to punch through that hole.
Yeah. So
I'm not sure, like I'm eager to see more from Robinson, because I'm not trying to knock him by saying that he looked slower to me. But he was going through the drills noticeably slower than the other running backs. Now, I will say, this is going to get me in trouble with EP here. Jarrett Patterson, he looked like he was trying real hard.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a couple times where, like, I think he had to redo a drill, or like, they had to like duck under something, even though he's a short guy, his helmet was dinking on the post. So I'm interested to see where he's going to go. I hope obviously we're big fans here in this house, Jarrett freaking Patterson. But it was another one that kind of stood out to me. Maybe it was because I'm paying attention to him, because how much EP likes him, but he just seemed like he was just trying so hard. Like, I think he knows that he's kind of on that bubble, and he just wants to prove that he can be there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Roger's got some good points about the linebackers and the D-line, how they can use different talents of the different guys and different formations to wreak some havoc is what we're all hoping for.
Yeah.
Grayson is asking about specifically St. Just, but there's guys like St. Just, Rouillet, Tyler Larson are guys that are coming up on top of my head who finished the year injured. What was
St. Just was out there. We got to see him. Yeah. He talked. Someone asked him, how if he's feeling healthy. Of course, he said he was, and
because his was concussion, right?
It was, he had a series of concussions that kept him out. So it was, you got to be careful with those, and
sure.
And studies are still going on, like, how that affects you, and if you're more prone to get them because you've already got them, type deal. So, but I know that there's some excitement around him. I know that and there were some tweets today from the credentialed media talking about how he's out there, and they had him blitzing today. So,
okay.
I really think that this corner, set of corners that we got right now I think we're in a really good spot, and you add in the safeties as well. So with Percy and Cam Curl, McCain was in good spirits. McCain's a lot smaller than I expected to, but he was out there.
I've been hearing a lot of good things about McCain this off season. So that's good, because then the second half of the year is when he really played a lot better than he did the first half. So hopefully that'll carry over. He was a solid
pickup for Washington.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the sexy stuff here. All right. Let's talk about Curtis Samuel, Dyami Brown, Jahan Dotson, Cam Sims, and how they worked with Carson. Well, let's just talk about those guys specifically before we get to Carson Wentz.
So Dotson, I already said, looked great. Okay. Yeah. You can see how quick he is. Curtis Samuel looked healthy. He was moving around pretty well. Dyami Brown, okay, not bad. Yeah. And I'm trying to think if I even remember seeing Cam Sims out there. I know he was out there, but I think maybe my eyes were just drawn. You just see this flash of white. Offense was in white, burgundy for the defense, and there's Dotson just running around,
just flashing.
Yeah, he
that's what you want from your first round pick. That's what you want from a lot of guys, but especially your first round pick. You want him to flash. Like Jamin Davis never flashed last year in camp, ever. But already you're saying that Dotson is flashing. He's standing out from the other guys.
Yeah, again, that's a football field away, and you can still just some wow. Dax Milne from Grayson Roberts. Actually, he was out there doing their so there was offense on playing defense as they were just doing some practice, and Dax Milne was victimized by somebody. So, but outside of that, not much to say about Dax Milne. He was doing his thing. I wish I could have seen. We saw somebody else was taking punts besides
the new guy, the guy from. So is it Sylvester or something? I don't remember the guy's name, but okay.
Nothing fancy there, but I got to see him. No one was on the receiving end, so I didn't get to see if anybody was who's got the leg up on that matchup.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you about Carson then. The most important acquisition for this team in the last, I'd say 10 years. Maybe Alex Smith was a big acquisition, but Carson Wentz, the legacy of Ron Rivera's coaching career is hinged on Carson Wentz. And so he's extremely important to what's going to happen around here for the next 3 or 4 years. How did Carson Wentz look up close and personal for you?
Good. He looked good. I know I haven't been the biggest fan. I'm not as down on him as Parker is with that comment that he made as he was, taking pictures with him and everything. But he, you can tell, this is probably the first quarterback we've had since Kirk Cousins was here that can actually throw the ball, with ease, right? So, even Alex Smith, he had question about his arm strength and whether or not he's, kind of that game manager. Carson Wentz is not that. And you can tell that we're going to get a lot more exciting deep throws. Maybe they don't connect. Maybe they turn into interceptions. I'm not sure yet, but you're going to have a lot of excitement with Carson Wentz. And I think whether or not he pans out here, it's not going to be talent based. I think that the talent's there. I think that if he doesn't work out, it's going to be kind of a scheme type thing, or just, I wouldn't say this, by the way. I don't in our short time there, he seemed to be getting along with his teammates very well.
And I think all that stuff.
Teammates seem to like him. Well, you hear all that outside noise and stuff, especially from Indy. And we've talked about how it's a bunch of noise and don't believe it. But it was nice to see that in person. And yes, by the way, metaphor, Kirk, I'm with you on that one. I don't think that he's a great quarterback. Kirk Cousins isn't a great quarterback, but he is a good one. And I think Carson Wentz can, be, I think that right now, a lot of the pundits put him around 20, Carson Wentz at 20. I think that he'll be higher than that rating.
Okay. That's good to know. Did you see him using his legs at all? Was he getting out of the pocket? Was he scrambling? Was he throwing on the run? Or were they just doing basic routes and
just basic plays? Stuff? Nothing too exciting. Declassified. He had a good eye on one particular play that we'll call out here. He was actually, they lined up and the running back was on the wrong side, and he corrected that. And so, you got to remember, this is Carson Wentz is just learning this playbook. He's new to the team. And I don't remember who the running back was. I don't know if we recognize that, but just recognizing hey, no, you got to line up over here.
Yeah.
That's great. that's you want to see that those kinks get out there, because I think that's one of the reasons why the defense has been a little sluggish, is you got these new pieces, right? And they don't really come together until later in the year. So,
okay. That's good to know that. I mean, right now, this is how you get Ashburn, right? Everything is positive. Everybody's saying the right things. Everybody's making plays and doing well out there. So that's good. And it's okay at this point, I think, to be Ashburn, that everything is positive.
Yeah,
right
now's the time to be excited about your team.
That's right. So that's good. I remember a question I was going to ask a while back when you mentioned it, because I don't know the answer, and maybe you don't, or maybe somebody in the chat knows this. When they do it 9-on-9s, who are the two guys that are missing on each side?
I think the linemen, maybe defensive ends. I'm not sure. It's got to be the line.
What about on the offense? Is it linemen on both?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's probably your linemen.
So they have like
maybe
three
have to take the guards, maybe, and the interior linemen. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't know for certain, but I'd have to guess. I mean, you're out there to kind of go through the routes and that aspect. So it's not really about the interior pushing. Metaphor says the QB is the one missing.
Right.
So some rando, anything from Harmon. He was out there. I can't say where he was kind of on the depth chart as what it looked like, but I know he is getting some reps. So, whether or not he's still, he had kind of an exciting rookie year, but that was 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's an uphill battle. He's not this coaching staff's pick, but I think that there's enough there where, maybe he can kind of push, but I think that this is kind of what fans love to do, right? We're right now we're talking about probably the 6th or 7th wide receiver on the team. Like he's fighting against Dax Milne, not against Dyami Brown or Dotson.
Right.
And even Dyami, I'm not sure where he's going to end up. He's not really a high draft pick. They walked away from
he's fairly high. He's a third rounder.
But they walked away from AGG after pretty much 1 year as well. So they're willing to admit, like, hey, this isn't going to work out. But I do think there are traits that Dyami has that they like. But, Kelvin Harmon is taller than Dyami Brown. So we'll see.
All right. Well, awesome questions from everybody in the chat, and also people who asked us beforehand in our community feature what to look out for and the things that you saw. Is there anything else that you noticed that maybe we didn't touch on while you were there at OTAs?
No, I think the big things, like I said, we got up close with the tight end group, and I'm pretty excited for how that's going to fill out. It's kind of a, you looked at it last year and you were uncertain really with the tight end group. I feel much better about this. Maybe it's because we got a big guy like Cole Turner. But I think that grouping is going to be better. The running backs looked solid, even if I wasn't, all that impressed with Robinson. I mean, his size is there. He's definitely,
Peyton Barber. He's Peyton Barber. If you want Peyton Barber numbers, you're going to get Peyton Barber numbers.
Right? Hey, sometimes you just need to be able to close it, and that's fine. And I'm looking forward to kind of seeing that dynamic. Our man JD McKissic looked very sharp. Very, very sharp. So excited to have him back on the team.
Good. All right, so I've got some great grab bag questions, Commanders questions that everyone's going to want to stick around for that as well. So what do you think?
Stick around. When we get back from the cool down, we're going to answer more questions you have and the questions that Stoner has right here on the cool down. Gus Bus with the hot take here. I'd rather have Robinson be Riggs than Barber. Not really a hot take, by the way. That's just everyone would love for him to turn into Riggs. That'd be amazing. David saying the O-line and tight ends are going to be real good this year. I agree. I think that the O-line just they seem to be gelling. They were doing good even on their 5th center last year, holding the fort. Sheriff is a loss. I don't want to hear it if you're like he was a bum, all this other stuff. He's an all-pro. He's but I will say this: it's easier to replace a guard than it is all-pro tackle, and so I think they're going to get quality play from the line this year. Gus Bus, McKissic is the key to the offense's success. You saw the difference, and
I'm not going to go all with that. I don't think he's the key. I think he can be an X factor, but I don't think he's the key.
I wonder, maybe this. Here's a question for you to start off our grab bag.
Yeah,
was J.D. McKissic more of a factor in last year's offense because of the limitations of Taylor Heineke? Now that you have a QB like Carson Wentz, who does throw it about equals what we saw to his running backs that we did last year, but do you feel like maybe J.D. McKissic's role in this offense does decrease because the check down's not the first option?
No, I don't think so. I think he was able to take advantage of his role last year as the bailout type player the last 2 years. Because, he did that for 80 catches the year before. And then last year, he was very good until he got hurt. But I think this year they're going to be able to utilize him rather than just him being a bailout type player. They're going to be able to have plays for him and take advantage of his skills better than they have in the years past. So I think they have a weapon in McKissic. I don't think he's going to be just a guy they're going to dump the ball off to when in trouble. They're going to do that as well, but they're going to run some specific plays to take advantage of his skills. So I do like McKissic a lot. I think he is a key to this offense, but I don't think he's the key. There's too many other important parts to this offense that is key for them to be successful. Everybody knows Carson Wentz, but of course, Terry, Dotson, how is Logan going to come back? And the guys in front of McKissic, the Robinsons and the Antonio Gibsons, are obviously much more important. So I just wanted to say in terms of being a key, I think that might be a little heavy-handed. All right, here's some grab bag questions for you. First of all, have you come over to my side yet on the Chase Young needs to be here at OTAs?
That he needs to be here?
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing that he's here, but I like a need is it's voluntary, right? Does Terry McLaurin need to be there?
Terry McLaurin's different. Terry McLaurin is proven. Okay, he's a 4-year veteran, or is he a 3-year veteran? He's on his 4th year. Yeah. He's a 3-year veteran with credentials. We talked about that earlier. That he can put up on the wall and say, "I've done this. I'm a captain. You know what? I've earned the right to ask for a better contract and not be at OTAs." Chase hasn't earned that yet.
Here's where I think that Chase needs to be here. Okay, I think that he didn't have a great season even before injury last year. And him being here is showing fans and the team that he's committed, right? That he is, he wants to come back, and he wants to come back strong, and he wants to make an impact. That's where I think, I think need is a strong word, but I think that's where he benefits most is from, being there and showing the team like, hey, I'm trying to come back. I'm doing this for you guys.
Well, there's no doubt.
Gus Bus here.
That is a nice.
Gus Bus says, "Do you need to give your wife a present on Valentine's Day? That's voluntary too, but it's a darn good idea if you do."
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
And there is no doubt, and we even said this last year when he wasn't at OTAs. There is no doubt that he is out in Colorado, that he's rehabbing his butt off, that he's staying in shape, that he's doing everything the team wants him to do in terms of getting ready. But it's just the perception. We said it all this time. If you're here, nobody talks about you. If you're not here, then people are going to talk about you. And they're going to say, well, he wasn't at OTAs, so he only had 1.5 sacks in 9 games before he injured himself. Maybe he should have been here. And it's probably not true. But it's just that noise that you talk about all the time that gets out there and interferes with this team's ability to have good chemistry and to go forward towards a winning culture.
One of the things that was talked about at training camp last year was you can just tell that Chase Young had this air of superstardom.
Yes,
like already,
we noticed
like
it.
there was almost entitlement. That he was just like and they talked about it, right? Him and Sweat were like, no, we're gonna push for that sack record.
Yeah.
And I think that last season plus the injury are humbling him a little bit. Not that he needed to be humbled, but that this guy, he works for it. Okay. I want everybody to understand that. I do believe Chase Young works for it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think now you're going to see a more business-like approach. Like he's still going to be the young, fun guy that he is and joking and talking with everything. But I think that he's going to go through things with a lot more workman-like presence because he has something to prove to himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need to prove it to anybody else, but I think that you're going to see some of that. So
this is year 3, Nathan, coming up. This is starting to get into the pivotal time frame where you start looking at your second contract like Terry's doing this off season from year 3 to year 4. So this is a huge year for him and his future in the NFL. So he has to do everything that you just said. He's got to take that attitude to be better prepared going into these seasons and not be such a diva-like player. Nobody questions his heart. Nobody questions his willingness to work. Nobody questions his love for his teammates, his support for nobody questions that. But you just got to be here. That it's as simple as that. And maybe now he's starting to get that message.
What do you think about this comment here? We should stop making young players rookies. I think captains is what we're going for. First Haskins, now Young. New rule: can't be a team captain until your 4th year in the league.
No, I don't agree with that at all.
I don't agree with that.
If you're a captain, if you're a stud,
what about this guy?
Yeah.
What about I got Terry McLaurin's jersey hanging right behind me? What you tell me he can't be captain? He's got less than 4 years, and I think he's proved every step of the way. I do think that they need to really earn those captain spots, right? And I think that sometimes they're given, sometimes they're given out because of your position, right? Dwayne Haskins was the QB. They wanted to put him in a position where he was going to be successful, kind of showed his team members, this is your captain, this is your QB.
Yeah.
I think there's other things. We're not going to dwell on those. For Chase Young, I think that, you were looking at him as kind of, the next Ray Lewis, right? Like he's just that hype guy. He's that person who's going to get you going, and you want people to rally around that. And I think that Chase is very charismatic, and people want to be around him. And so that's a natural captain.
Yeah.
And
same with Terry. Yeah, Terry's a natural leader.
Yeah, he's more of a quiet leader. He's not. I wouldn't say he's necessarily like overly charismatic or outgoing.
Sure,
that charismatic is outgoing, but no, he's a quiet leader, and he gets it done, and love to see that.
Yeah. All right. So a couple other things here. The House Oversight Committee just today, they gave the Commanders specifically. They gave Roger Goodell and Dan Snyder until January 6th to decide if they were going to come and speak to the committee, the House Oversight Committee.
They decided about 10 seconds after that was announced, right?
That they're
not going. They're not going.
Oh, I don't think they announced that.
No, I know they didn't announce it. I didn't say it. I said they decided. They made the decision.
Right.
They probably made the decision prior to that sentence being read.
Right.
They're not going to do it. Like it's an invite. It's not, being sequestered. They're not being forced to get subpoenaed.
Right.
You're not forced to go out there. So they're not going to. What do they have to gain?
Zero.
By going out there?
Yeah.
Nothing. Their lawyers won't let them. Even if they were like, even if Dan Snyder was just like, no, I want to defend my honor, and the lawyers would not let him.
Yep. Okay.
And Roger Goodell would not let him. And Roger is not going to do it. If Roger goes out there, he's going out there to throw Dan Snyder under the bus.
Right. But he's still
and that's not going to happen because his job as the commissioner is to take care of the owners. He's out of a job if he does that. So it's just not going to happen.
Tomorrow, Landon Collins' money is off the books. So they will now have $18 million in total cap space. Do you see them doing anything with that money?
Re-signing Terry?
Yes. And somebody has pointed this out to us that
the money doesn't necessarily
it's not going to count this year because he's already under contract. But maybe that's not how it works. Maybe it gets ripped up and it's the new one starts this year.
If you have some sort of, right? you could if he extends, you could potentially put some of his signing bonus to this year. So there are things that can necessarily count towards this year,
front load or whatever. Yeah.
But one of the things that you don't want to get wrapped up with is, there's 18 million extra. Terry's going to cost you 24, so you can't afford Terry. They can afford Terry. It's not all the 24 is not all going to go this year. That's where he's going to get. But some of that stuff can be allocated here, like signing bonuses and that kind of stuff.
Do you see them doing something other than Terry? Do you see them signing a guy who gets cut in camp, maybe early in camp?
Sure. I mean, that of course is going to happen, but like specifically
like a middle linebacker, a veteran.
Yes, linebacker. I think that they're going to target a linebacker. I think that realistically, you cannot go into training camp or the season with Cole Holcomb, Davis, Mayo as your third. I hear you chat. There's a lot of Forrest kind of get in play there. Khaleke Hudson. No, you're probably wanting some more, and even Ron I think has said this. They want some more veteran experience. They're gonna find a linebacker. I don't necessarily think it's a middle linebacker. I think that they're pretty happy with Cole Holcomb, and
seem to be so far.
And so I don't necessarily think that they're looking for his backup as much as they're looking for that third linebacker that they can have out in those packages, as few as it is. Because I think they only ran a 3 linebacker package maybe 25% of the time last season. So
somebody to fit that,
but somebody to fit that mold that they know they're not going to get burnt on.
Okay. 2 other things. Virginia has delayed their vote on the new stadium bill. Do you see that as a political stunt, or do you see it as Virginia is out on a new stadium?
No, I think it's still too early for either. I mean, even Hogan from Maryland's side was just like, we're not going to give them a new stadium. DC is, of course, holding their ground. I was talking with somebody today about this. It's sad that an NFL team who should have all of these places fighting over, right? There shouldn't be a discussion of pass the potato type thing. Like, this is, no one wants the team there, and this should be a slam dunk for the NFL. Like, in this big of a market, that you should want, one of these counties or one of these states or one of these governments to be like, no, we're going to figure out a way to get them here. And that's not the case. And that's really sad and unfortunate for this once, illustrious franchise. But I mean, when you're talking 3 decades worth of losing, 2 decades of that under somebody who's got a report or no report that's not being released on toxic environment, like we'll see. But I think it's too early to go out, to say that any of these places are not going to happen. I think that, one thing that could potentially bring back some excitement is if they do have a good year. If they have if they win one playoff game and people are starting to kind of go to the games. I think you can start seeing it, go around. Now, I will say this. That guy is a Yahoo, whatever. I forget his name. The one who was just like, they're not the Redskins, never were, and all this other stuff. Like
Chap.
Whatever. I don't care
Peterson.
What his name is.
That's his name, Chap.
Like,
Peterson.
come on, man. Come on.
I know.
Like
that's just political posturing.
Me. The most bonehead thing he said was he doesn't think they can be profitable. It's the NFL.
I know, right?
I don't care the Jacksonville Jaguars and Detroit Lions still make money. Maybe not necessarily for the county, and maybe that's what he meant, but they make money. Yeah, Chap Peterson, thanks for the shout out there, guys, for the name correction. But yeah, come on. Like they can't make money. Washington is still listed, and this isn't just fudging the numbers. They're still one of like the top 20 like profitable franchises in the world.
In the world.
Like,
right.
In the world.
Not in the NFL, in the world.
In the world.
That's right.
So yeah, have they gone downhill? Absolutely. Is that a lot of that to be blamed by Dan Snyder? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
With some of his decisions over the years. But come on. They can't make money. They can make money.
Of course. Well, and that's what you do. That's what happens when you have more options. Whereas you have a team like in Buffalo, you don't have any options. So it's easier to make a deal for a new stadium because there aren't other cities close by who are fighting for you or making deals behind the scenes for a new stadium. And here you have options and everybody can say, we don't want you. That's just their way of trying to drive down the price.
Yeah. It's right now. There's a lot of bargaining going on.
Yeah.
And I think that we're still probably a season away from hearing where this is going to be. Now, that shouldn't worry people too much. Buffalo just completed a stadium deal that's going to be ready in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
FedEx is up in 2027.
Yeah.
So they still can go this next year and get there. Armand has the question I'm glad is being asked right now. 55,000 seats. They're trying to sell you tickets like the Diamond Trade, kind of squeezing it by not necessarily having the 100,000 or even the FedEx when it opened was one of the largest stadiums. I personally love it. 55,000 is great. If you actually look at some of the newer stadiums, even Allegiant Field out in Las Vegas, which I do believe is going to be hosting a Super Bowl, 60,000, 65,000.
Yeah, it's great.
So, I mean, even Buffalo Stadium, I think, is only going to be 60,000. I think the NFL realized, you can't actually fill 100,000 seats, no matter how popular.
I think they still can in Dallas. They can because they have such a wide fan base, and especially like in Mexico and all of that. So I think they still can in Dallas.
Yeah,
but that's probably the only place.
Yeah, I think 55 is perfect. Yes, it's going to cause probably some seats to kind of get to those prices that we were seeing last year when the team was starting to do well, and seats were going for like $1,000 a pop. If the team's doing well, I don't think anyone's really going to care, right? Like, maybe if they get the whole deal they want to, there's probably going to be things to do around the stadium, that amphitheater you can watch with the fans there. So I think that will be
more than anything. That's what they need. They need a city or whatever around the stadium. They need places for people to go and to enjoy, and the bars and the restaurants and the shopping and the concerts or whatever. They just need an entertainment area, which they're going to do. That's the
big sell, right? That's what the big sell is for these counties and these governments. Absolutely. Is that
all that tax money.
It's not just going to be the stadium that's used 8 to 10 times a year. It's going to be something that we can actually use year round. Meta says $62K for Buffalo and believes that $60K is the Super Bowl minimum.
Well, if that's true, either they'll change the minimum or they will make a 60,000 seat stadium, because there's no way that they're going to make a stadium with no chance of getting a Super Bowl. That's just not going to happen. All right. So last thing I have on my list here, a longtime player and senior pro scout, Donnie Warren, retired, I believe, effective maybe today. Don Warren played for the 3 Super Bowl teams, played on all 3 of them. He was a draft pick for the Redskins. He played like 13 seasons, maybe. I'm looking at some of these numbers down there. He was on the 70 anniversary team. He was one of the 70 greatest Redskins in history. He was a scout for Ron down in Carolina. He's been with Ron as long as Ron's been a head coach. He's been one of his main scouts, and he retired today. So I just want to kind of mention that because he's a Redskins legend, and he's not a guy who demands attention. He just goes out there and does his job and does it very well. And I just wanted to kind of give a salute to Donnie Warren, old number 85 from the old Redskins Super Bowl days. I think he was 85. I hope you didn't watch
that. Oh man, I hope you
didn't. I didn't look it up, but I just always remember that Donnie Warren was number 8. I'm going to look it up right now.
And look it up as well. Did he play for all 4? The loss against the Raiders? I think he might have.
Ooh, well, I think he played from 79 to 92.
Then yes, he would have been there for the loss as well. I want to talk about a few things here. Back to the stadium.
Yeah.
Gus, with no jurisdiction, would put money towards a $55K dome because it would be solely a football stadium, no other major sports events. You can't play big soccer games there because of field turf and a dome. The field turf one is an interesting thing to bring up. I know a lot of stadiums are trying to go to this ability to bring in grass, even if you're a dome. There's a lot of talk, even with the players, that the field turf is not good for their legs. You saw some injuries, even in the college game where they got injured. As far as not being able to play a big soccer game because it's 55,000, I just want to bring up Stamford Bridge, which is Chelsea, one of the more popular teams, capacity of 40,000. So I don't think that's the case. I do want to look into what the Super Bowl minimum is. I'll have to look that up eventually. So I think 55 would be great. If that needs to be 60 to get a Super Bowl, then like Stoner said, they'll move it to 60 or the line will go down to 55. But I think that a dome is actually probably more beneficial because you're going to be able to have concerts. You're going to be able to do some stuff year round. I think there's some excitement there.
Just
Tyrone, thanks for the donation here. Carson Strong to Carson Wentz for Cole Turner.
Carson Strong to Carson Wentz.
Yep. So Cole Turner is going from Carson Strong to Carson Wentz. So he's traded out Carson's, but he's looking like I'm excited. I knew, you hear the size, but seeing him in person, I'm pretty excited to see what Cole Turner is going to bring to the table, because that is a big man.
A simple Google search, the first thing that comes up and says 70,000.
Okay.
It's a site, en.as.com. I don't know what it is, but that's what they say. So who knows? I mean, they might be right, but shout out one time, Tyrone. Appreciate you very much for that donation.
Gus called me out. Chelsea, that Stamford Bridge is a club stadium, not a national stadium. Wembley is a 90,000 capacity. So little, fair enough. I'll concede that point. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. We'll see. We'll keep you, our thoughts on where the stadium's supposed to go. I will say this. I've tweeted it out. It needs to be near a metro. Needs to be near a metro. That is a necessity.
So build a metro to it wherever it is.
Okay.
What's your prediction?
I'm not saying you can't build a metro.
Yeah.
I'm saying it needs a metro, Stoner.
I used to live literally a mile from FedEx Field. Okay. When I lived there was no metro. Whatever that stop is now, is it state? I don't even know what the name of the stop is. Addison Road, maybe. But anyway, there was no metro. There was no townhouses that were down there. There was nothing but a couple of neighborhoods. and they built it after they built FedEx, and now there is a metro stop there. And of course, that has to be planned way in advance. It's not like they built the stadium and somebody said, "Oh, hey, let's go put in a metro stop over there." Obviously, that was all planned, but it doesn't have to necessarily be in a spot where there's already a metro. What's your prediction for where it's going to be eventually?
I think it stays there at Landover.
I do too. I agree with you. I think they're going to build it like next to it or whatever. They're going to create some land or whatever, and they're going to build it while they continue to play at Old FedEx. They're going to build a new, whatever it's going to be, cryptocurrency, whatever stadium in 2027.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Tampa did just have one, capacity of 65. I mentioned Allegiant Field, only I think 60,000. They're going to be hosting one. NFL loves to go to their new stadiums. So I think that, like what Stoner said, they'll make it happen. And I do think they'll make it happen in Landover is my prediction.
Yeah, man.
They own the area already. So I think there's less of a cost, and it looks like they're not going to get a bidding war going on. So it just makes a lot of sense. We'll see, though. We'll keep you in the know. Thanks for watching us here on Ref the District. We stream live every Wednesday from 7:30 to whenever we finish. Like today was a long day on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And then we post it to wherever you can find your audio platforms. Give us a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time.
What's that?
Be a fan.
Be a fan.
We love Washington, and we some die-hard fans. Yeah, we are. You know we keep it on 10. Let's talk about the offense. 1, 2, 3, let's go. And they gifted. We are Ref the District. Podcast. Come on now and join us.